Hello, and welcome to episode 18 of Knee Deep in the Pod. I'm Dan.
And I'm Chris. And this podcast is basically a place for us to talk about games and reminisce about the good old days when we actually had time to play them. This week, we're going to be talking about enemies.
But before we dive into that, Chris, what have you been playing this week?
What? No haiku? No limerick? No hide it in a recipe?
No breakfast?
Just straight up.
We just went back to basics and then you ruined it.
Episode 18. We are close, my friend, to the big 2-0.
We are? That's crazy. Did you ever think we'd make it this far?
I've had my doubts.
Oh.
You know?
Whoa. Thanks a lot.
Oh.
Good to know you believe in us.
Instead, well, let me turn this around. Instead of looking ahead to the big 20, like that's the big achievement. 18, our podcast is officially an adult.
My goodness.
Our podcast can go drinking now.
We haven't been doing it for 18 years.
Our podcast can have consensual sex.
I'm not sure that's how it works.
Is that not what podcasts do when we're not looking?
Probably. With other podcasts.
If our podcast was going out drinking and sleeping around with other podcasts, who do you think it would do it with?
Maybe something really rogue, and then you'd end up with some kind of child podcast that's like a fusion of gaming and I don't know, like my mind's gone blank.
I'd like it to have respectable and interesting friends. So my vote would be for Knee Deep in the Pod to go drinking and maybe have a nice time with Dish, which is a food podcast.
Okay.
Hosted by Waitrose, so very respectable.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then a gaming food fusion podcast would be the result of that.
And that's basically what we're becoming, I think. You know, there was all that breakfast talk, and we've been inundated with messages suggesting we increase the amount of food talk we slip in to our gaming podcast.
People can't get enough of the non-gaming content.
Funnily enough, we only get requests for non-gaming content.
Dan and Chris, shut up about games. Talk about something else. Talk about bagels.
Talk about bagels and sourdough toast.
How do you feel about sourdough?
You know what? I like a bit of sourdough.
Do you?
You know what else? A lot of the time, these days, the kind of bread we have is like rye. We've got to have like rye, and it's like very brown. Like the browner, the better. It's pretty much what we do now. When
I think of rye, I think dry. Like,
do you?
I imagine a very dry bread.
I pretty much exclusively toast it, and then I have it often with like a poached egg, which keeps it kind of wet and moist. But I imagine if you had like a sandwich with it, that it could be on the drier side.
Is it quite dense as well?
It is quite dense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, sourdough is... We're going there. It's considered like quite an upmarket bread, isn't it? Like it's one of the more expensive breads.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's as nice as just a good old crusty white bloomer or like a giraffe loaf.
Did you just say giraffe loaf?
Like a giraffe chest. Is that what it's called?
Excuse me?
You know how you get a tiger tail?
Tiger loaf.
Like a tiger loaf. I think there's also a giraffe loaf.
Yeah, I think Sainsbury's call it giraffe.
Maybe
they
do.
just have to be different.
Maybe they do.
You know what? You know what else about Sainsbury's?
Yeah.
Welcome to this this podcast all about supermarkets and their produce. Sometimes they put J Sainsbury's, like their old school name before they were just Sainsbury's. I saw it on one of their products the other day.
J Sainsbury's.
Yeah, I think maybe they do it for their fancier products. Like regular products or the like budget ones. They can just be Sainsbury's, but maybe the fancy ones. We'll put J Sainsbury's.
Call me J.
Yeah. Can we?
Oh, this sourdough loaf. I just picked that up from J.
Yep. My friend Jay.
Yeah.
I call it. Yeah.
You mean Sainsbury's?
So, bread.
Yes.
Yeah. So back to your crusty loaf or giraffe/tiger bread comment. You know what? Like, both great bread options. Both great. I'm not sure if I'd go as far as saying better or worse, but certainly I would say comparable. Like, I wouldn't say like sourdough was like obviously better than either of those. Just different. Just a bit different.
They're different for sure. The M&S San Francisco sourdough is very nice with like a bit of butter and honey.
Oh my goodness. I've not tried. This sounds great.
That is good.
Okay, but if we're talking M&S, bready bakery products, let me tell you, and because this blew my mind.
Okay.
Cronuts?
Cronuts?
Cronuts.
I think I've seen these. This is a cross between is it like a croissant and a donut?
Croissant, yeah.
And a donut.
And a donut, yes.
Sorry, yeah.
Yes. I think they also do yum nuts. Maybe it's yum nuts I'm thinking. But anyway, both exist and they are great. Like, they are just... Woof.
I haven't
it's the
tried...
sort of thing where you might buy a packet and think, I'll just have one. And then you eat all of them.
Let me come back to that. Haven't tried a cronut, but
Okay.
I do frequent the M&S bakery. Do you know what my go-to item is?
At the M&S bakery?
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you what my go-to items would be, but what would your
Please do.
your go-to item be?
We don't have anything else to cover, evidently.
It's good. I haven't prepared any enemies to talk about, so let's just fill it. We just need to fill this time.
I thought we were just preparing our top 5 breads.
Brenemies. Our top 5 bakeries. That's what we were talking about. M&S up there. Your go-to... I feel like it's going to be something kind of like not too fancy, but like just good, like a cookie or like a... And I have an objection to this, but maybe like, would you even be one for a cinnamon swirl?
Are you saying that because I'm just a very vanilla guy?
Nothing wrong with vanilla.
Dan, he'd probably just get like a breadstick.
Not even the cheesy ones.
Yeah.
It's plain.
No, I like an apple turnover.
Do you?
They're very nice, yeah.
You know what? That's a bit more interesting and quite a classic. I feel like it's kind of a bit of a
It is a classic.
turnover. How about that?
Yeah.
Nice.
They're good.
Would you like to hear my go-tos? And my objections to a cinnamon swirl?
I would like to hear these things, and then I'm going to revisit that thing that I said we'd come back to.
Excellent, because I'd forgotten about that already. I think there was something in the other episode. I'm usually quite good at coming back to the things that I say, but last episode I think I did it say like, I'll come back to this like game or this little thing, and I never did.
Oh, you left them dangling.
Absolutely. Like my dangly bits. Anyway, Chelsea bun. Oops.
Chelsea bun.
Chelsea bun.
That's
flipping great.
That's your go-to?
That's one of my go-tos.
What is a Chelsea
bun?
Is it like an iced bun?
It's a bit like an ice bun, except it's kind of It's a bit of a swirl, actually. It's not like a million miles away from the cinnamon swirl, but it's more it's a bit more of a bready, like ice bun dough kind of thing rather than pastry.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of got like cinnamony stuff going on, like in the layers, and then icing on top. Sometimes there are like raisiny bits as well. And sometimes you get these like, I don't even know exactly what these are, but they're like these kind of sugar crystals, like big sugar crystal things.
Ooh, yeah.
That you might find in like a Mr. Kipling, like farmhouse slice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're in there. And that is just like, mwah.
That does sound good.
It's great. It is great. Now let me hit you with a 1, 2. That's my 1. Oof. 2, cinnamon swirl gripe. You ready?
Yeah.
People love a cinnamon swirl.
People go nuts for cinnamon swirl.
They go mad for them.
They go wild.
I see people fighting over them in the streets. But I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you
Enlighten
that
me.
they are not all they're cracked up to be, my friend.
Oof.
They are dry. There's a lot of dry pastry in there, and there's not enough of this tasty cinnamon paste to moisten up those layers.
They're dry, coming from the man who likes rye bread.
Touche. Okay, so rye bread that is moistened with butter and egg. Anyway, I just like the concept of the cinnamon swirl. Like, I'm into it. I love cinnamon. The pastry, yum, and the icing, yum. But the ratios are wrong. And like sometimes people will come back with like some bakery treats. Like, oh, I've come back with some lovely bakery treats. It's gonna be so great. Look what I've got. And you open the bag, and my heart sinks as I see a collection of cinnamon swirls.
I think it depends where you go. I've had good cinnamon swirls and I've had bad.
I've never had a cinnamon swirl as delicious. Are you ready for this? As a pecan plat.
Ooh.
Pecan plat, my friend.
Really?
Yeah, like lovely glaze, and then it's got the kind of mapley, like paste syrupy thing, and like going all the way through, so there's no dryness, and it's flipping delicious.
No, they're
Topped
definitely
with pecans.
moist.
Just no drawbacks. All great.
I do like pecans, but I'm not mad about a pecan plat for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you why. But I wanted to comment on, you said about, what was it that you said you can't just have one. You always have to have another one.
Oh, of the cronuts and the yum nuts, just so good.
Cronuts. You said that of the cronuts, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something that comes to mind, of which I can never just have one, is a Tunnock's tea cake.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You always got to have, you have one, and then before you know it, you've had the whole box.
You've had the whole box of 6. This is like the chocolatey ones with the marshmallowy inner and the biscuit at the bottom. Yeah. Man. We are 14 minutes into our podcast and we have not discussed games at all. Would you like to know what I've been playing?
I would like to know what you've been playing this week. That was my original question.
Go.
If you cast your mind back.
Just been evading it at all costs. And I'll tell you why I've been evading it, Dan. I don't have a lot to say. Well, I do. Well, I have a lot I could say, but I kind of can't say. So
yeah, this is cryptic.
Listeners of the podcast may remember Dan recommended to me Doki Doki Literature Club.
Aha, yes.
And you were played your cards close to your chest. You didn't want to reveal too much. And I fear I have to do the same because there's, it's one of those games where it's like in fact, and we were saying this on our voice notes the other day. It subverts your expectations, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
I can't. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to wreck it. But if you want to be surprised and be taken for a bit of an interesting ride, then I would recommend it. It's also free. You can get the plus version. I don't know what that gets you over the normal version.
Probably not.
But the normal version is free. Yeah. The one thing I would say, like the caveat that I have, is to anyone that takes my recommendation and goes for it, or indeed Dan's recommendation from some episodes ago. You've kind of, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, Dan, you kind of got to stick with it for a good hour and a half. Like, it's a bit slow to start. Now, in fairness, when I was playing it, and this, so some people, others might be quicker. When I was playing it with my wife, and we were saying all the words out loud, like we were reading it out loud.
That explains it. Because, for me, I don't think it took an hour and a half. But you do have to kind of stick with it a little while.
Yeah, it takes a while for it to start, like, revealing itself. No suggestion intended. You did mention it was a visual novel. We were like, almost like it was a script. We were like reading it all out and like trying to, give a bit of inflection and voice acting to the parts. So
that sounds fun.
It was fun. But also we kind of we did it over like 3 evenings, maybe, something like that, maybe 4. But like the first evening, nothing happened at all. But yeah, if you're just reading it to yourself, then I'm sure you'll get through it quicker.
Nice.
Did
you want to know?
Well, I want to. No, I don't want to know. I want to keep talking about Doki Doki Literature Club for a minute longer. Was that I guess that portion was fast for you. So was there any point where you were like, should I just put this down? Yeah,
I mean, probably. I mean, there's a big portion of it, like you say, where it kind of doesn't reveal its true colors, and I was just left thinking, like, is this really worth my time? I stuck with it purely because of all the reviews, because there were so many reviews that say, like, I'll just go in blind, like, this is really creepy, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
If I didn't know in advance, like, a little bit of what to expect from those reviews,
yes,
I probably wouldn't have even got 10 minutes into it. I'd have just dismissed it and been like, what the heck is this? This is not for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's quite good, actually. I think that almost makes me feel better about giving, a few hints about what's going on. And to be fair, I think the game itself kind of drops a few hints, because before you even start, it's like, hey, don't play this unless you're like an adult, or unless you're okay with disturbing content.
Yeah. It hits you with the warning.
So that it does, like, pretty heavy-handed with it. So, I think that's almost probably a good thing for our listeners, because it gives you a reason to press on if at any point you're like, what am I playing? So yeah, there you go. If you've got an evening or two to spare, and here's a free game recommendation for you. So Dan,
hello.
What have you been playing lately, my friend?
Well, not a lot, to be fair, but it was my birthday recently, as you know.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And my brother bought me Stray.
Oh, yes.
You familiar with Stray?
I'm familiar in that I know it's about cats, or like it's about a cat. You control a cat?
That's basically it. So for anyone who doesn't know, in Stray, you're kind of exploring this dystopian world through the eyes of a cat. So you're controlling this cat in third person. And a lot of it's got very positive reviews. This game did very well like a year or two ago.
Mm.
And a lot of the reviews just talk about how great it feels to be a cat and how well the game captures the feeling of being a cat. And I have to agree, it does a really good job there. But not only that.
Third person?
Third person, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's quite simplistic mechanically. So, for example, there's a jump mechanic, but you don't just press a button to jump like willy-nilly. You can't just do that any way you like.
Okay.
It's more like you can jump to predefined locations. So you look at a platform and it says press A, and then you'll jump to that platform.
Gotcha.
So the gameplay is quite controlled, somewhat linear, but it introduces new mechanics as it goes along, and there's a bit of a story to it. And there are some like chase sequences as well at times, and it's not just like you walking around being a cat. There's a lot more to it. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Nice. And what is it like? Is it? Sorry, did you say this? Is it kind of a linear kind of story, or are there like quests you're going to go on, or what's the?
It's fairly linear, I think. The only reason I'm not saying yes, it's completely linear is because there's like this town area that I've come across.
Okay.
And from that town, I think there are a few different side quests they're not so much side quests because I think they're all required in order to advance, but you can kind of do them in any order.
Okay. Nice. Oh, well, look at you playing a game, like a modernish game.
I know, we need to stop, but we keep doing this.
We should book some time with ourselves to go back to playing some old school games, because we are just veering way off.
Yeah.
Way off mission right now.
We've changed, man. Next week, I'm going to come back. I'm going to say, I've been playing Zargon.
Oh, wow.
Remember Zargon?
Only very slightly.
I think it was the prequel or sequel to Jill of the Jungle. It had some kind of connection to Jill of the Jungle, which is another like old side scroller by Epic Mega Games, no less.
I was going to say, so also of Epic Mega Games fan, and I think this like came short not long after. Jazz Jackrabbit is a game that is like on my list.
Oh yeah, I remember that one as well. I haven't played a lot of it, but yeah, it was like that's one of the big ones from back in the day.
Yeah, and has a banging soundtrack, I should say.
Can you sing it to us?
I will come prepared next time.
Okay.
There's another. What was that other game? Well, so I'm not about to play it. At some point, I kind of want to play it. It's just not quite it's not the sort of game I usually play. But your brother Tim is a big fan of Wing Commander, right?
Yeah.
Wing Commander 3 in particular. And I don't know why, but I, of course, kind of think about that. And maybe I watched a video about it recently. I think I was watching like a video that was all about FMVs, and they were one of the kind of early games to use FMVs, which for the uninitiated is like I forget exactly what it stands for, but it's like a really early like technology for getting video content into games. And it was kind of a bit low res and a bit low quality, but it meant you could actually have video in games, which was like huge at the time. It was like, like mind blown.
They had Mark Hamill as well, didn't they?
That's what I was about to say. Mark Hamill is like one of the starring roles in this game.
Yeah.
And so it's just crazy. And there's quite a few big names.
Yeah.
And actually in the world of FMVs, there's actually quite a few big names that end up going into it, like doing these videos for games. So who's the guy? John Rhys Davies. Okay. So otherwise known as Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
Amongst other things, of course. But he was in, I think he did some of the FMVs for Dune 2000, which was like a Command and Conquer, contemporary, of kind of early 2000s or late 90s. And he might even have been in some of the, Command and Conquer games as well. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of like quite, notable acting names that have been involved in in those games back in the day.
That's very cool.
So there you go. There's some old gaming content for everyone who logged in and was expecting that. So, should we move on to our topic proper?
Let's move on to our topic proper.
All right. Enemies, my friend. I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
So for those to give the listeners a bit of an idea, we set ourselves a bit of homework, a bit of a challenge. And the idea was to come up with a short list of kind of particularly notable, I don't know if they're quite our favorite enemies, but they're kind of, notable enemies. I won't commit to exactly how many we said we were going to do, because I think we might be a bit flexy. But I kind of was struggling to get to the number we said. And now I've got 2 to 3 times that number.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was hard. I found this very hard because I know what makes a good enemy. Like, I knew exactly the sort of thing I was looking for, and I'm sure that I've played games that have great enemies that kind of tick all these boxes. But when I actually sat down to think of specific enemies, I just found it really hard. Because a lot of the time, perhaps the enemies are like not that distinctive, or sometimes it's not so much one enemy that stands out, but like it's more the combat in general. Sometimes it's how they're combined. You might have a group of enemies that work really well together. I can tell you the criteria that I was looking for, that I was hoping to find. Basically, I wanted an enemy that's a challenge to beat the first time you meet them. But then as you learn how to beat them, you kind of gain a sense of mastery, and then you're able to just like defeat them quite easily after that. If you're like on the ball. That's what I was looking for. Like, it takes some skill to beat them, but it's doable. Like, it's a good and fair challenge.
That's good criteria. That's nice. I'm liking your thinking behind it. I'm not sure if I was quite that kind of methodical about my list. Mostly my list is kind of enemies that particularly grab my attention, or I find particularly interesting or enjoyable to kind of tackle, or I feel are particularly kind of distinctive or kind of iconic from the game.
Yeah.
But but to what you said, I found even that to be a bit of a challenge. So I think there are quite a lot of games where, as you say, I think, the enemies themselves are perhaps not that distinctive. And it's, how they're used, or the kind of combat situations, whatever. And also, we're talking about combat here. This is another thing I realized. By framing it as like your favorite enemies, I realized there were kind of quite a lot of games, and perhaps even whole game types, like genres, that I felt like I didn't quite fit the, fit that mold, basically. Like, I was thinking like real-time strategy games. I was thinking, well, I guess you could choose a troop type. But at any point, like, you could be that team, or you could be, or often you're so it kind of felt like, to choose, like, I don't know, the centaur from this team on this, in this, it just felt like that doesn't quite work as like an enemy, because like, whilst they could be an enemy, also they could be you. So I kind of almost wrote those off. I mean, there may be some instances you could argue it, but I was just like, right, I'm pretty much not going to choose anything from that sort of game then. So I think a lot of mine are kind of basically kind of first person shooter or first person kind of type of game. I've got a bit of a third person adventure game here as well. But it's kind of all kind of, I guess, action based, like very kind of first or third person kind of action based games.
I did think as well about real-time strategy games, but I think often in those, even if you have enemies that are really cool, they're often not that mechanically different. It's just, different stats and maybe a different type of attack. But units in those games typically kind of function broadly the same way. And I was looking for enemies that kind of stand out mechanically, as well as, I mean, there's different elements to it, right? There's the mechanics, and there's the theme of the enemy, or like the aesthetic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I'm okay. I'm really interested. Oh, one last thing. Okay, so we mentioned the, like, some enemies not being particularly distinctive. And I'll give you an example here actually, because now, I don't think we often talk about Call of Duty on this podcast. That, we probably typically think of it as, very mainstream and, and maybe a bit too generic. But certainly the modern warfare games, particularly Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare one, I love that game and I've played that through like several times, played it like multiplayer at university a lot. And I've played the sequels 2 and 3. Really, really great games. And so it did occur to me like, oh, maybe is there something from that? And I was just like, the reality of those sorts of games is just like lots of the enemies are just kind of generic soldier bad guys. They're not like particularly distinctive. Now, I actually gave myself a little rule, and that was to not choose any enemies from Doom. Because we talk about it a lot, and I was like, I could wax lyrical about a whole bunch of different enemies in Doom for ages, I just thought I'm gonna give myself that little restriction, but to just mention them, there is a kind of cast of characters, and I think and some of the games we'll talk about do similarly have like almost a cast of characters of these like enemy types that are very distinctive. And they have very different behaviors, and like, each one you're dealing with something quite different. And the Call of Duty games is almost the complete opposite. It's just like, it's way more about the combat situations that you're put in than the enemies. The enemies are all very similar. Maybe they've got slightly different weapons or, blah, 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 blah. But basically, you couldn't say like, oh, that one's unlike Doom where it's like, that one's an imp, that one's a demon, that one's a, whatever. It's just all kind of generic. So, a lot of the ones I've chosen, there are kind of distinct, a distinct cast of characters. Yeah. So without any further ado.
All right, we're going to have to rattle through these, but shall we rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first?
Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, we both went scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, you got the paper and I got the rock.
Yes. Paper beats rock. Okay, does that mean I go first?
Okay.
You can go first.
Well, I won't beat around the bush. My first one's from Halo.
Okay.
I've actually got a couple on my list. But I think I'm going to choose the Hunter. The Hunter...
Tell me about the Hunter.
It's interesting for a lot of reasons. First off, the Hunter really commands your attention straight away because it is really dangerous. Like, can almost one-shot you, depending on the difficulty and stuff. Wow. But like, certainly a shot from like a direct shot will wipe out your shields, which then means if you get like another hit, you're kind of out. It has like, it has this really strong, ranged attack, which is this kind of almost kind of, energy rocket launcher type weapon, which has this kind of green glow and sort of explodes upon impact. And then if you want to go close up, it is this big hulking thing. Like they are these huge guys that are kind of covered in this big kind of chunky armor, and their arms, at least one of them is like this kind of enormous, it's kind of got like an enormous shield on it, and they will kind of whack you with this shield. So like you don't want to get too close because again, like if it melees you, you are like toast. So if ever they are in a combat situation, you kind of need to like focus on them. So this is one of the reasons that makes them really interesting. Another thing that's interesting, and this is to go not mechanical, but kind of a bit more kind of theme and lore. They always come in pairs. There's always two.
Okay,
so they're part of this group of aliens called the Covenant, and these particular guys, the idea is they're actually not one being. Each they come in pairs, but the idea is they're actually like a load, like hundreds of these like worms that kind of all go together in this like suit to create a walking, talking, moving thing. but inside that's just a load of worms,
Ooh.
which is kind of an interesting concept. I don't know why they always come in pairs. Someone listening will be like, Chris, obviously it's for this reason, and I can't remember. But that's just how you always find them. So there's like, and they're quite tactical in the way that they can move and command the space. And just like normal shooting at them, basically, if you like shoot their armor, it's going to take forever. Or like they might take some minor damage as you go, but really that's not the way to kill them. So back to kind of mechanical interest then. So they're super high damage. You want to keep a wide berth, and you do not want to get hit by their heavy damage weapon. Mm-hmm. And they're heavily armored, so killing them is hard. The one thing that's like is really interesting, and I think that this might play to what you said about kind of mastering an enemy. Yeah. There are a few like unarmored points, particularly from behind, where if you shoot that, it will like go down in one like a sack of potatoes. Even like a pistol shot in the back, where like it's unarmored, it's down. So it's kind of, a lot of it is about like movement and getting around them and getting to a position where you've kind of got, you can just get a shot off, where they're vulnerable. And you got to do it twice. You got to do that. You got to kind of basically trick one to get a good shot on it, whilst the other one might still be looking at you and like shooting its heavy, like heavy energy weapon. So there you go. The Hunter from Halo. Just really excellent, distinctive enemy.
Nice. And I feel like Halo was from that era where games were coming along technologically. Like the AI was like probably quite well developed compared to games that came before it.
Yeah, and I think Halo, the first Halo game was quite a bit of a leap forward in terms of AI, and so I almost mentioned the Elites, which is another like
all right, you've had your turn.
The point is the way the aliens all work together in like combat and tactics and stuff was like in a way that you just hadn't seen in games before. It was like quite a big deal at the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number one enemy then, and I feel like this is going to sound like a bit of a cop-out because this enemy probably ranks quite highly on any like notable enemies list you might find. Like it's one of the most iconic enemies in modern gaming. So it's going to sound unoriginal, but I do think it's a great enemy, and that is the Creeper from Minecraft. Yes.
I was wondering if you might bring something in from Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean it's very iconic, obviously, from just how it looks, and it's become like almost the face of Minecraft. But I think mechanically it's also quite interesting because creepers will just basically run towards the player, but they won't come towards you. They won't make a beeline for you. They will literally creep towards you. So they will try and hide behind walls and stuff to reach you, which I just think is interesting. And then when they do get to you, they've got that characteristic hiss before they explode. So if you don't notice them and then you just hear the hiss, you just have this like heart attack moment where you're like, oh no. And, Minecraft is all about building, and creepers will come along and explode and potentially destroy what you've built. So there's that real sense of threat. It's not just like, oh, I might die, but it's, oh, they might actually destroy what I've built. So you have to protect against them and like try and make your base like creeper proof, which I like. I like that they pose a real genuine threat, and they're very different to other enemies which just, take away your health.
How does one make your base creeper proof?
I mean, it's not difficult, to be honest. Like, mobs won't spawn in the light. So as long as your base is lit up and has some kind of perimeter, then you're safe.
I feel like just occasionally they'll like spawn in places you weren't expecting though, you know? Some dark corner.
If you're not careful.
Nice. Well, you're right. Iconic, and as you say, like basically the mascot of Minecraft. So good choice. I'm gonna, inspired by your choice, I'm gonna go for, and I've done a bit of a cheat here. It's almost like a class of enemies. Okay, I've got two examples. One is the Fiend from Quake. And I will describe in a moment. And then there is like a demon style enemy in Proteus, which is a game I've spoken about in the past, which is like, it's a relatively modern game, but it's it's a very retro style game with kind of, it looks like a 90s shooter, even though it's not, basically. Now, both of these enemies put pressure on the player big time, because they are charging straight towards you at all times, basically. As soon as they are around, they are going to be making a beeline for you. The Fiend is this really gross looking creature. It's kind of hunched over. I guess in a way, it's kind of it holds itself not dissimilar like how a gorilla might, but it's a bit more kind of leant back, and its arms are kind of, I think they almost have like slashing kind of, not quite blades, but they're kind of a bit like its arms are kind of these real like weapons. And it looks like it's got kind of redness around its mouth and stuff. So it's very like a kind of demon spawn kind of gross thing. And not only does it make a beeline for you, but it leaps towards you. It kind of, when it's close enough, it will like jump towards you, and it is terrifying. Now you can vouch for me when I say, you know, when it comes to Doom, if I like turn around and suddenly there is a demon right in my face, I will jump out of my chair and audibly scream.
Yeah.
And the same is true for both of these enemies. So I wanted to kind of choose that style of enemy without choosing a demon from Doom. So the Fiend from Quake, and there's like a demon style enemy in Proteus as well, that just like are these big hulks that charge their way towards you, and they're just like, you know, if you see them from like a way off, they feel manageable and not too bad. But as soon as one's like just appears from around the corner, or like you didn't notice and they've actually come from behind or from the side, it's so scary. It's like proper like jump out of your chair stuff. So yeah, I think they deserve a place on this list for that reason. And yeah, I think they really demand a certain behavior, you know, and like a change in the player's behavior to deal with them very quickly and specifically in the way you kind of prioritize enemies. So there you go.
This feels a bit like playing Articulate, where there's like some banned words, and so to get around it, you just give like synonyms.
It's like this thing, not the other thing, but the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, but forget about that. But I didn't say that. It's actually this. All right. My number 2 then is another one that I think everyone will be familiar with, and that is the Thwomp from Super Mario World. Another iconic enemy. And it's very simplistic, like mechanically. All it does is you walk near it and it will slam down to the ground. But sometimes that's all you need. It's it can still be used to create some really interesting levels. You can also spin jump on top of it. So it will slam down and then it will rise up again slowly. So you can kind of use it as like an elevator. Let it slam and then spin on top of it to get above it. And also it's called Thwomp. I mean, that's just such a fantastic name for what it is.
And, you know, for me, like, it's quite iconic in just how it looks, its shape. And that face is just, like, perfect. How it, like, gets all angry. It's very
expressive.
Yeah.
Like, it does a really good job of sort of telegraphing that
Yeah,
you're getting close, like it's getting angry.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think, and that's probably quite a good point. I think we've talked about this before, like, about enemy design. You kind of don't want the player to feel like it was unfair or like they had no way of, of reacting to it. Like it was, and I think Thwomp is a really good example of like a challenging enemy. Because, let's not beat around the bush. I'm sure we've both been crushed by Thwomps many a time, but you'd be hard pressed to say like you couldn't have seen it coming, or like, that it was that it was a complete surprise. Like you might have hoped that you'd have got past it quicker, or like, some things would have gone different. But it kind of, I think mostly it feels fair,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just think it does a job, and it does it well. And I think
the other thing, so you mentioned your birthday, and we had a little go of playing Mario Maker, in which Dan, and another friend of ours, John, have used to progressively just troll each other by making harder and harder levels that are ludicrously difficult for your average player to play. Anyway, my point is, one, it's interesting just throughout Mario, just how versatile a lot of the enemies are in terms of like how they can be used, how the player can interact with them, and how like the different possibilities that there are. And I think Thwomp is a great example in that, even just as simple as the distance traveled. So like, it can be start quite high up, so it's quite forgiving, or it can be quite low down. So like you've got very little time to react or get past it. So even that variation is quite, interesting. But as you say, you can also, jump on, like spin jump on top of it. And there's, there's a few mechanics to kind of get out of it, basically.
Absolutely. And since we're talking about Mario, I didn't want to like mention more than one enemy from the same game or the same franchise. But just as I was thinking about enemies, there are some great ones in the Mario games. Like some absolutely brilliant 100%. Enemy design there.
100%. I think, there are not many wasted enemies in there. They all like have a purpose, and they're all they've all got their own character and their own differences.
Yeah, they're all mechanically interesting. They're all distinct, and they're all very
well. Talking
iconic.
About iconic, let me tell you my next one.
Hit me.
Fallen from Diablo 2.
Fallen from Diablo 2.
So they are, and we didn't mention this in the Diablo 2 episode, which I feel was a bit of a miss. But one mechanic that Diablo uses, or one kind of thing it uses, is it reuses enemies quite a lot.
Yeah,
just like a colour swap. And you know what? A lot of the time, I don't mind, and it's like, somehow it kind of looks and feels different enough that you don't mind. I suppose you just get, to a degree, you get used to it, and it's quite clever on the devs. It means, it would have massively reduced the work required. Not that there's not a wide variety of enemies in that game, because there are like a huge variety.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just meant that they kind of could reuse some assets, and, but that, Fallen are one of the first enemies you will meet in Diablo 2. And I don't know, just the design, like the visual design of them is great. They're obviously demon-y and kind of a bit mischievous and evil. And they kind of, they have these kind of noises and like chatter that they have between them. And they kind of, just seem a bit kind of, as I say, like mischievous and naughty, And I think that is quite fun.
Yeah.
And they're not too imposing. They don't look too dangerous. And for the most part, they're not, that like, as long as you're paying attention, you're not going to get in too much trouble unless that maybe there's a big crowd of them. But they're just, they're just kind of fun and, as I say, a bit iconic. And there's a bit of interest, because often, if there's a group of them, you might find a fallen shaman, who will, occasionally like bring them back to life. Right. So that's kind of a fun little mechanic that they'll have as well. So yeah, I was kind of thinking Diablo 2, and I was thinking, what if I was to think Diablo 2, what enemies would like come to mind as kind of particularly noteworthy, and that felt like a worthy mention. So there you go. You got anything to add on the Fallen?
That's a good shout. I did think about Diablo 2, and I think the reason I didn't pick one is kind of the same reason why I said, well, you know how we talked about RTS games. Mechanically, I feel like the enemies are all quite similar. But I'm glad that you did pick it. And you're right, it's quite an iconic one. I think if I was to pick an enemy from Diablo 2, I might pick the Venom Lords from Act 4.
Because they are vicious.
Because they are scary. And I just always like the look of them. Maybe they're a bit generic, demon-y, but...
Maybe they are, but they just feel imposing.
I mean, you're in hell, so... What do you
Absolutely.
expect?
Oh, we should say, by the way, another little kind of restriction for us on this list was that we couldn't choose bosses, right? So we kind of it's very much kind of regular enemies that you'll come across rather than, you know, like in the context of Mario, for example, we're not going to choose Bowser as an example.
Yeah. Okay, my number 3 then, and we're already coming up to the hour. All that bread talk. But my number 3 is from Silksong, actually. And I had to look up the name of this enemy because it's... I think they are listed in-game. You can like go into the bestiary and find out, but I haven't really done that. But anyway, this enemy is called a reed. And they're one of the enemies found in the second act of the game. I can't remember. In the Citadel, that's what it's called. In the Citadel. And basically I chose them because of, out of all the enemies on my list, they most meet the criteria that I mentioned of them being initially very difficult, but then you kind of learn to beat them and they become a fair challenge, but you have this sense of mastery. And nowhere is that more apparent than the High Halls Arena, which is a very like notorious arena fight in Silksong where you have to fight like 10 waves of enemies without a break, without a save point, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, these guys, they will fly around and they have a wide range of attacks. So you have to like read them very carefully to know what they're going to do. So you know how to react. So they might swoop towards you, or they might throw a sword at you or something like that, or they might swipe at you. I can't remember all their attacks off the top of my head, but I just remember them being very varied, and you have to like really focus. Like you can beat them quite reliably, but you have to be on the ball.
Nice. And do you find them in Hollow Knight as well, or are they like a brand new?
No, they're new to Silksong.
I did think about Hollow Knight actually for this list. I mean, I think if I think hard, there are one or two that do come to mind, but there are just lots of. Maybe this is unfair, but I just felt there were just a lot of generic bugs that I couldn't kind of necessarily pull out as like distinctive enemies.
Yeah, I think Hollow Knight does have some great enemies, but it's that thing of like it's difficult to just pick out one because they work really well in the environments they're in. But you couldn't point to one and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a classic enemy." That is.
Yeah, and I guess like each area almost has like a group of enemies that kind of you end up seeing. I mean, one that I would often note giving me a hassle was like similarly to what you just mentioned. It was like this kind of flying enemy that would often have like these spears or something they would throw at you, and it would be in quite a kind of platformy area. They would like really hassle you. So they did come to mind. But anyway, question is, Dan, what is the next one I'm going to mention?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the big hammer guys from Spyro.
Big hammer guys.
Spyro 2.
2 or 3?
So this is a
Spyro
bit of
2.
a, not cheat, but it's kind of a group of enemies. Exactly.
Just all the big guys.
So there is like a style of enemy, and they're kind of skinned differently in different worlds, but they're mechanically they're identical, right? They're this huge enemy that you cannot charge. They're too big to charge. You have to flame them. And Spyro, most of the time, only has like quite a short range flame attack. So you need to get right up close to them to hurt them. And what they have is this enormous hammer or club or, whatever they have in whatever, in the world that you're in. And basically you need to get into range of their hammer to be able to kill them, which I think in itself is quite a cool mechanic. Like, you have to put yourself in danger to defeat them. And, because you can't charge them, like you just feel way more exposed. You can't just kind of run around and just like, bop them off with your horns like you might a bunch of small enemies, and feel kind of a bit invincible whilst you do. I think it's a cool mechanic that you have to put yourself in kind of pretty serious danger to do it. And they all have this kind of comedic telegraphing thing of just like really lifting up their hammer and like, if you're nearby, and they're kind of like swinging it around like, and it always just, and it just feels good because they're so enormous. It just feels good to take them down.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the enemies in Spyro because there's like a really good variety. There's lots of these small guys and then a few big guys peppered in, and so you do have to sort of adapt a little bit. You can't just charge everywhere willy-nilly.
And you know what? I call back to my first enemy of the hunter and put it in this same category. Like, I think part of what makes an enemy really good is it feels good to defeat them, It's just like, there's a good feeling as a player. Like, it feels like you've accomplished something, and you just feel like a badass when you've actually like, oh yeah, got that guy. And I think, these enemies from Spyro kind of fit that bill because you kind of take out this big guy. The hunters fit that bill because, they're genuinely quite challenging, and also they're big. So, it feels good to like take out a big guy. Yeah. So there you go. Bit of a cheat there because it's kind of a lot of the enemies in there's a bunch of them in Spyro, but they're all the same.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay, this is my number 4 then. And this is the turrets from Portal.
Oh, okay. The turrets. Oh, wait. Yes. With like the laser things, right? Yeah.
You know the ones? Yeah. Again, I think they're quite iconic. They have these great like voice lines when you're near them. When they can detect you or when they know you're nearby, they'll be like, "Are you still there?" In this like robotic voice. And again, it's a case of they do a job, but they do it really well, I think. I mean, to be honest, they're pretty much static. They're positioned in a place within the level, facing a certain way. And if you walk in front of them, you're toast. That's it. So it's not so much that the enemies are really clever or anything like that. It's more that they're like a tool in the puzzle designer's arsenal. And you have to think very creatively to get past them because there's no running past these turrets. You have to solve the puzzle in order to get past them. You have to portal behind them or cover yourself with a cube 100%. Or something like that.
I think, they're really, as you say, they're a really useful tool for the puzzle designer. And I just think, Portal does this excellently, with all of its characters, really. But they're so like, they're so engaging as characters, even with just, they've just got a few lines, they just have a bit of chit chat and said in kind of a funny robot voice. They're just great. And I think they hold the player's attention because they are so fatal, they are undeniable. Yes. You can't get around them. You need to deal with them or go another way.
Yes.
There's no other option. And the other thing I think is great about them is like how helpless they become when you do find a way to like defeat them.
Yeah. You can like pick them up or knock them over, and then
That's it.
they can't do anything.
They just like, and I think they alwast like shriek or whatever, like, like system overload or whatever. It's just like, it's so great. So yeah, great choice. Really good choice.
Thank you. Should we do one more each?
Yeah, there you go. Well, to the listeners, we did say a top 5, so there we go. We're sticking true to our own words to ourselves. Oh gosh, I've got so many to choose from.
I'd love to hear the others on your list.
Okay, we should do honorable mentions at the end because there are some good ones. But I think, okay, I'm going to choose the Zinger.
Zinger? Oh, is that the bee from Donkey Kong Country?
It is the bee from Donkey Kong Country. Well done.
Yes, good choice. I almost chose that. I bowed out because it is quite simplistic, but I love it.
No,
sorry,
it's all good,
I'm stealing
man.
your thunder.
I love it.
You go.
It is a bit simplistic, I suppose. I mean, ultimately, the mechanic is don't touch me, because if you do, it's essentially a spiky ball. But I think it's great in that, I guess similar to Thwomp, it's used in a variety of contexts and a variety of ways to kind of make kind of these action puzzles, essentially. Because you've got them, they can be stationary, and it's just like, jump over this, like avoid this little bit as you're jumping over or moving. Then they can sort of bob up and down. And so there's a timing element of like, you've got to jump at the right time. Otherwise it's going to catch you and kill you. Or similarly, it can kind of sway from side to side, left to right. Or sometimes you get them in circles, and they are tracing a circle around you. And maybe you're in a barrel, and which, for those that haven't played, if you're in a barrel, sometimes you can control the barrel to kind of shoot you out of the barrel. So you've got to like time that right. So you shoot out the barrel and don't hit the bee on your way. By the way, I think I was reading the like Donkey Kong wiki as I was trying to work out the name of this guy. And apparently it's a wasp, not a bee, but we've just called it a bee forever. So, I'm probably not going to break that habit, but anyway, it also comes in a few colors. So you get yellow bees and like more like brown bees. But also, and now I'm saying this out loud, I think there are some that like there's a special one that like it can get angry and it goes fast or something. It starts green and goes red or something. Is that right? Or is that just the boss? Is there a bee boss that does that? Okay.
It might just be the boss.
Don't want to break our rules on that. Yeah. But, there's just a whole variety of situations which it helps make interesting platforming and interesting challenges. And of course, it's a stripy black and yellow bee, so it's very distinctive.
And they have a lot of character as well. They have this like, if you manage to kill one with a barrel, it does this sort of feeble.
Yeah, and I think its eyes are a bit like mad. I think it looks a bit kind of crazy. And actually, that's a good point, as you say. Like for the most part, they feel kind of pretty indestructible and very, very dangerous, and they are. But on occasion, you can defeat them if you've got a barrel handy, or if you're riding the frog.
You can jump on them if you're riding the frog, but I always found the hitboxes to be a bit weird, and more often than not, I would jump to my death.
The hitbox of the frog is so treacherous.
Yeah,
but you do feel like a bit of a. This feels like a bit of a superpower when you do it, because it's like, oh yeah, this like undefeatable bee, and I've just flipping killed it. So there you go. I guess that was my number 5.
All right, my number 5 then, and this one's a bit niche, but it's from a game called Eldritch, which is is a kind of stealth, voxel-based, like stealth roguelike. It's a little bit niche, but I really enjoyed it. And the enemy that I particularly liked is called an Elder. And basically it's this like creepy looking, I don't know how to describe it. It looks a bit like, you know that painting, Scream?
Yes.
That famous painting. Yeah, they have this kind of Scream face. They're like these tall, ghostly figures with like Scream face. They have, yeah, I think so. Some kind of cloak. And all they do is like they run towards you. Or no, they don't even move fast, but they are constantly walking towards you in a sort of intimidating way. And you can't kill them. You can hit them with like a gun or a knife and they collapse. They kind of fall down for a few seconds, but then they get back up. So they're just an ever-present challenge that persists for the whole level. And you have to like be very strategic about how you approach them and how you kind of navigate around them. And they're also just
super
really
creepy. It's a great choice because I've only played Eldritch a couple times, but I remember that enemy 100%.
Yes. I've got a clip in my video because I had a video on Eldritch. This was on my Minecraft channel because it has that sort of Minecraft aesthetic. So I was kind of like dipping my toe into like other games that are Minecraft adjacent. And there's a clip in that video of you encountering one of these enemies. Like you think it's dead, and then it comes back to life, and you freak out.
It's so good. Yeah, because it was like, but used the Minecraft engine. Is that right? Is that like it's a kind of a modded Minecraft engine? Oh, is that not right?
No, it's a completely homemade engine, but the guy did prototype some of the levels initially in Minecraft.
Okay, yeah. And of course, lest we forget, it is his sound effects that we use throughout our podcast.
Right, of course. Yeah, we should definitely mention that. So all the like intermission sounds are from this game. And the sound design in Eldritch is brilliant. The sound of this enemy as well is just like, really good.
Well, there you go. There's our top 5 favorite enemies.
Top 5 enemies. We got through
good
it.
Good list.
And,
did you have any notable others, like others that almost made it but didn't quite?
I have a couple. Do you want me to whiz through them and then we'll just, let you... I'll just go make a cup of tea and you can rattle yours off for the next 20 minutes.
Go for it.
Okay. So I did not set myself a rule to not mention enemies from Doom. So I was, if we got round to it, going to mention one enemy from Doom. And they're all great, but the one I picked out was the Chain Gunner. For a similar reason to why you picked out the Hunter, because it commands your attention. Like, if there's a Chain Gunner in the room, you need to focus it. You need to take it out, like, as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's just going to get through your health in no time. And also, another thing we've already touched on is, like, they're so satisfying to kill. They've got just the right amount of health that a well-placed super shotgun will tear through them. And they're like quite beefy guys, so they're just very satisfying to kill.
The way they fall apart is so satisfying.
Yes. A great death animation. And the other one, very quickly, is the Tokoloshi from Zao, Tales of Kenzira. And I'm a little biased here because I programmed him.
Is this like the stone guy? With like the...
Stone guy. No. This is the kind of, they're like mini impish little guys that run towards you and explode. Yeah. So you have to either run away from them, or if you kill them and then you can like launch them and then they'll explode and hit someone else.
Remember that.
Yeah, they're just very fun. They have like a really fun personality. And mechanically, it's not the most original enemy, like something that runs towards you and explodes, but I don't know. They are fun to deal with, and they swarm you. There's like often you'll be in an arena with lots of these guys, and they're programmed. So rather than just like rushing at you from one side, they'll try and come at you from both sides. Yeah, so that was an interesting programming challenge. And sometimes they'll leap over you, sometimes they'll just attack you. Like,
that's cool, man.
Got a few different attacks.
That's great. You know what I miss? And we've talked about this kind of cast of characters. One thing I used to love at the end of Doom 2 is you get this like kind of credits sequence for the enemies, and it cycles through them and tells you what they're called, like gives a name to these enemies that you've been fighting for the last, however many hours. And you like cycle through them. In fact, in Doom 2, you can actually like watch them like kind of walk and animate and do their things. And then once you're kind of done, you click a button and they die, and then you're on to watching the next one. I just loved doing that so much. But the same is true, or similar is true to Donkey Kong. So again, at the end of Donkey Kong, once you've beat the game, it does a like cast of characters thing, and and you see all the characters. Mm-hmm. They might even, I think some of them even sort of do kind of slightly funny, skitty animations. Like there's that, I don't know if it's called Claptrap or something, but the one that's kind of just chomps along the floor, and there's like one goes by, and then like two go by running the other way super fast or something. There's like it's a bit of like a chase sequence thing.
We have a bit of fun with it.
So, but I mean that in itself is a point. But I almost wonder if that's quite a good little like, almost like a metric or like a good measure of like how well defined are our enemies? Are they kind of so well defined and kind of interestingly iconic of themselves that they almost kind of deserve to be in a cast of characters at the end of the game. So, honorable mentions. Here we go. And I actually will try and rattle through these relatively fast. So, just generic Nazi from Wolfenstein 3D. Why? Because, they're iconic to the game. The noise they make when you kind of first wake them up, if that makes sense. When you first walk into a room and they notice you're there, they're like, it's like it just like, again, like makes my heart beat fast. And they have this mechanic, as did quite a few of the enemies in Wolfenstein, where they don't walk towards you directly. They walk from side to side. They like walk in diagonal lines. I think to kind of, I mean, there might be other reasons for this, but, to kind of be a bit more difficult to aim at, I guess, you kind of got to track them to hit them. So yeah, they felt like they belonged on the list somewhere. The next up is the Slig. The Slig. Would you know what game I'm talking about if I said Slig?
I would guess that it's...
You are right in one, my friend. Yes. Yeah, so these are... And again, they're very distinctive. They're these kind of like yellow guys that have these like, I don't know, tendrils almost coming out of their mouths. Their like mouths are kind of like, there's all this like, blah, blah, kind of almost a bit Cthulhu-esque, with like all the kind of tentacle kind of stuff coming out of their mouth. And they've kind of like got like, they're a bit kind of steampunky. They've got these like goggles, the kind of like leather goggles on their heads. And then they don't actually have proper legs. Their legs are robotic. So they've kind of got these like mechanical enhancements about them as well. And they're kind of almost like the prison guards or like the enforcers that are kind of keeping all of the, these guys, the Madokans, the kind of slave race in check, basically. So yeah. And they're often holding a gun, and they will dispatch you quickly if you are kind of out of line and they and get in their line of sight. But they also, similar to your Portal turrets, they just have great like chatter. They've got such good personality. They're kind of a bit dumb whilst being aggressive, and so there's kind of a lot of fun to be had just listening to them talk to each other. And there's it makes you feel really kind of cool, and it's really fun to kind of outsmart them, you know, like kind of. So there are times when you like hide in a locker and they walk past and they're like, oh, I thought I heard something, and you know, those sorts of things. But they say it in a kind of really funny way. Just the whole presentation of that game is the kind of dark humor and stuff. I love it. So there you go, the Slig. Next up, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And I won't dwell on this too long, but I chose the Daedroth and a Spider Daedra. The names aren't particularly catchy, if I'm honest, but the Daedroth is this basically like a walking dinosaur crocodile, which just look super cool and like intimidating. And I think there's an element of like, because there's a bit of like difficulty scaling in that game, right? So like the better you are, the kind of more difficult enemies that start to pop up. And I think these are amongst the kind of toughest enemies you will ever encounter. And so it's kind of a bit of a validation of like, you're getting really good now because you're seeing this Daedroth guy, and the spider Daedra is like a kind of big spider, but the body is like the body of a woman. And they're kind of this like vicious kind of, it's this kind of gross looking really. But yeah, it's just two kind of big scary enemies that are quite cool. Coming to the end now, but Half-Life. And I think you know what? I think they're called ant lions. They are these like big green insecty things that are very aggressive and big and kind of scary. And they're like only in the sand. That's one kind of mechanic, is like you're only ever in threat basically of these guys, like on this sandy area, these beaches that you end up going across. And you're kind of safe on the rocks.
Okay.
It's a bit like, I guess, like, you know, almost like Dune with like worms, right? Like they're in the sand, but if you're like, you know, it's kind of that sort of vibe. So it's kind of a cool mechanically in that kind of you're safe in some areas, and you know that danger is kind of could pop up out of the ground at any moment. You know, when you're on the sand, which is great. And I think they're just so different. That whole mechanic and that feel of that section of the game is so different to the rest of the game. It just really grabs your attention and is like, oh wow, like I was not expecting that. So
I can't picture those particular enemies, but you know the ones I do like from Half-Life? Those ones that it's like a set of jaws on the ceiling.
Yes.
With a vine or a tongue hanging down. And it looks like a vine, and it's so easy to just walk into it, and then they'll grab you and start to slowly pull you up, and you've got to quickly shoot at the thing
before it eats you. Oh, there's so many good things about that. I think mechanically it's interesting, and also just like the peril, you know, and you can see your doom just as you know, getting closer and closer. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I think Half-Life is another good example of. There's actually quite a few really good ones in there. So I also had on my backup list the Koopa in Mario, just because it's so such a classic. I had a second one on Donkey Kong actually, of just the Critter, which is just like generic crocodile enemy that walks about, and it's just like iconic to the game. Gears of War again, it felt a bit generic because a load of them are just these locust drones. They're like these kind of humanoid insecty type guys, but you know, they are kind of again iconic to the game and the series. Last one I want to mention though, and this deserves a bit more chat, is Left 4 Dead. Okay, there's a load of just like generic zombies, but then there's a few like special zombies, and I'm going to call out the Smoker, which I just think is such fun because they're called the Smoker, one, because I think in their actual life they smoked heavily, and now that because of that they have like transformed into this smoker zombie, which has special powers where it kind of has this extra long, I don't know, like tongue or something, or like has like some like vine that kind of shoots out of it and grabs you and like chokes you, and it like slowly pulls you towards it, which again is like quite a like grabs your attention. You have to deal with this now, sort of thing, and you basically have to shoot at it to get free. Which is a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
And I just love the kind of it. You know, it just feels funny to me that, you know, like chain smokers in there, you know, but back before they were turned into zombies, then turned into these like superpower zombies.
Would that count as a boss?
You know what? It's probably, I don't think it does count as a boss, but it's probably an enemy that would have been introduced as a boss. You know, those sorts of enemies that kind of, when you first see them, they kind of get a special moment. And then they just become part of the like normal group of enemies you'll come across. Yeah, exactly.
Roster.
Exactly. But it would have had its kind of intro moment for sure. And there you go. That's the end of my honourable mentions.
Oh, wow. Blimey.
This one's gone on.
Good list. Solid list. That was a fun one.
I really enjoyed it. To our listeners that have been requesting unlimited episode length and no limit on content, well, we have catered to you this evening.
Let us know your favourite enemies in the comments or email us at kneedeepinthepod@danjb.com. We would love to hear them.
I would be interested to hear on what other people say, actually. I bet there are some great suggestions out there. But until then, can't wait for episode 19.
I can't wait to hear you do the jingle from
Jazz Jackrabbit. Absolutely.
Jazz Jackrabbit.
Well, everyone, tune in next time for Chris jamming away. Bye-bye.
Bye.